Hello everyone, welcome to the end of day wrap, day one Pro Tour Gatecrash here in Montreal. Rich Hagon, Brian David-Marshall with you. BDM, what you got? Anything happened today worth telling people about?
You know what? We saw Gristlebrand, we saw Gisela, we saw Sphinx's Revelations, we saw Ash Zealots.
Saw Boris Reckoners.
We saw a lot of Boris Reckoners. You didn't see a lot of Boris Reckoners as the day progressed. We saw fewer and fewer of those as the day progressed. Although they were certainly still there because I could hear Zvi laughing in the last round of the feature matches.
Sure. All right, so let me tell you where we stand at the end of 8 rounds with 8 still to go. We began with 3 rounds of Gatecrash draft, then 5 rounds of standard. At the end of all that, 1 player stands alone at 8-0. It's Melissa DeTora of the United States. Terrific.
Absolutely amazing. She worked with the French team that's headlined by Raphael Levy, the Pro Tour Hall of Famer, a number of other French players who've had a lot of success on the Grand Prix circuit of late. Also on that team, Vincent Lemoyne, also on that team. They came up with a deck, which I've been calling Wolf Run Rant.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a Bant deck with Wolf Run. You know, we just did a deck tech with Zach and Melissa as she took it to an 8-0. Just a fantastic deck, doing some really great things. We're seeing Gisela out of the sideboard a lot, which has been kind of awesome.
Yes, really. Spectacular. I mean, it's a big leap to put it in there in the first place. But then when you see it just destroy people, absolutely fantastic.
Are you getting tired of seeing Timothy Seminole?
I've
watched him play a lot of Magic.
In the last week, I've been a bit busy around him, yep. He won Grand Prix London, 1,970 players. He won that last week, and now here he is, undefeated again, 7-0-1.
Listen, you talk a lot about sports psychology in terms of Magic, and and I know momentum is something that doesn't exist, but do you think that people come off a Grand Prix like that? You see it all the time.
We
saw it with Richard Bland.
Yeah.
We've seen it with, you know, a number of players.
He was second at the GP the week before he was second
propelled,
at Worlds.
You know, last Stanislav Sivka coming off of San Jose and a strong finish going into, you know, Pro Tour return to Ravnica. You know, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you feel good about the way you're playing Magic. You feel excited. You feel connected to the game.
I mean, even if you don't think of it in terms of momentum, you can think of it in terms of, I must be playing well. Why would I not continue to play well? You know, there's no reason to jog myself out of that.
Going in with
stance.
a positive mindset.
Completely.
Yeah.
Amongst the 7-1s, just select highlights for you. Paul Rennie of Taiwan, Eric Froelich, part of Channel Fireball, Isaac Egan of Australia, Ben Stark, potentially en route to a Hall of Fame career for him as he once again comes right near the top of the standings.
I mean, I've got to take a moment for Don van Ravenswalsh.
From the Netherlands.
Via Australia, where he's done his postdoctorate work and then gone on to take a job.
PTQ Melbourne.
And then he won a PTQ. This is someone who, you know, dozen years ago or so, is playing Magic with a very young Julian Naughton and Vessel Omens in Amsterdam. You know, these are the people he kind of grew up playing Magic with, went away from the game, went to school, went to Australia. He's like, you know what? I'd like to go play in a PTQ.
Well, who wouldn't?
I know a thing or two about playing this Magic.
Yep.
And here he is, sits down at a draft table with just all-stars all around him. And, you know, we're like, oh, wouldn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
but we really would, it turned out.
Yeah, you really would. I mean, he's, you know, 7-1. This is just a fantastic story. At his first Pro Tour. I mean, it's really, it's got to be, for you guys at home watching this, it's got to be something of an inspiration, you know, that, you know, it's not like you just go to these events and then you just get beaten up. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, if you work hard and you prepare and you have the right read, you do well at these things.
You do. Someone else who did very well, the last of the 7-1s currently, but that's just on tie breaks, doesn't mean a lot right now. Jerry Thompson, he joined the Channel Fireball squad for this event. Tremendous 7-1.
And someone I wrote about in my column this week, as he's the player in this tournament with the most pro points without a Pro Tour top 8.
Could change tomorrow.
And I feel like that's partially because of, you know, in the past, he's always been the best player on his playtest team. And where Jerry really shines is when he can look at a format and make adjustments to decks or pick a deck based on what the metagame looks like. And he doesn't have to be the guy blazing the trail with the deck in this group.
Right.
You know, he's got, you know, Brian Kibler on his team, and he's got Luis Scott Vargas on his team, and he's got Shuei Nakamura. So he gets to look at their decks and tune it. And, you know, the results are encouraging.
You're going to need to look at all the standings because there are so many great players at 6 and 2. But let's pick out a couple each. My first one, I'm going to go with, well, how about Joel Larsson of Sweden? 6 and 0, falling to 6 and 2. Hasn't played a lot this year. He is a Platinum Pro, however, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see if, partly on the back of all the testing with the likes of Dennis Rashid and Kenny Oberg and all the guys in the band from Sweden, if he put in a big finish tomorrow. Give me one from the 6 and 2s.
How about, following up on my mention of Jerry Thompson, I'll go to the second player on that list.
All right.
Owen Turtenwald.
Wow.
Owen
Sure.
Turtenwald, with over 180 lifetime pro points. He's got a Player of the Year trophy. He's got countless Grand Prix top 8s. He does not have a Pro Tour top 8. And he's 6 and 2. And in great shape. Worked with the Star City Black team for this event.
Or just Star City as they are this time.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to still call them Star City Black. I can't help it.
I am going to give you someone who I think is very scary that he's still in the running. He was 3 and 2, if memory serves, back in the afternoon. I kind of lost track of him, because you don't wade through all the 4 and 2s. You're busy looking at the 5 and 1s and 6 and 0s. He's finished 6 and 2. His name is Paul Rietzl. He is a Pro Tour champion from Amsterdam with a small collection of white creatures, and he is playing small white creatures. And if he gets out of draft 2 and 1, if he's 8 and 3 coming out of draft tomorrow, be very afraid of that man. He's so good.
You should just draft Boris. Clearly.
It's the way forward. Clearly. Right, another one from you?
Oh, we want to talk about 6 and 2s. I don't know. How about we talk about Paweł Pietrogowski?
Oh, that's an interesting one. A tale of two brothers.
Yes.
They were close to dominating the event. There was a point they were both at 5 and 1. And in a sense, the back end of standard found them out a little, and I think they'll be a little bit disappointed overnight.
Sure, but his brother, someone who has gone undefeated.
Yep.
On day 1 of a Pro Tour before.
Tomek was 8 and 0 at Pro Tour Avicen Restored last year.
And we hadn't really heard about Paweł before, but won a PTQ. He's here, and now he's doing very well. And we've talked about that Eastern European contingent of Magic players, continually being on the rise, seeing more and more names from that crowd. And he's another person to add to our checklist of players to watch.
I can tell you that in 211th place, John Boulding, no less, Grand Prix winner of recent times, is your 211th player who can come back tomorrow and do it all again. Do you fancy coming back tomorrow doing it all again?
Absolutely, I can't wait.
Make sure you join us. 3 rounds of draft, 5 rounds of standard again. It'll be draft in the morning, standard in the afternoon, wherever you are around the world. Thanks for being with us here on a pulsating day 1 of action. Rich Hagon, Brian David-Marshall. Bye.